Hey guys, International Stacker here, and I wanted to make a very important video here. I was just watching a video of a guy on YouTube who lost part of his ranch and was getting his animals out, and I found myself saying, man, if only he knew what to do, he could protect his house and possibly his animals. So I'm here to make a very different video today. Usually, if you're new to my channel, it's about collecting gold and silver around the world and traveling to get that. However, for some years I was an elite wildland firefighter. I was what was known as Type 1. I was part of a hotshot crew. I have extensive experience on fires and know what to do in terms of wildland firefighting. So I wanted to make you a top 5 list of what to do if you need to evacuate. If you're ordered to evacuate, what are the top 5 things you can do to save your property?
International Stacker.
Now, and even animals if it's emergency evacuation. Let me preface this with one thing. If the fire is very close to you and you're told to immediately evacuate, just get out of there. Property and even the lives of animals are not worth risking your life and the life of your families. I just saw a horrible story in California of a man who found his wife on the road. The son died trying to drive the grandmother out. Super horrible. But if you have time, here are the 5 things you can do, and I put them in order of how long they take. Okay, here we go. And I was gonna play some footage in the background of the California fires. I think these were some previous ones. So what's number 1? The number 1 thing you're gonna do, so as a firefighter, if we're going to a wildland fire, and we're going to triage houses and try to protect them, this is exactly what we would do. You go to your house, you pull anything away from your house that can burn. Again, you pull anything away from your house that can burn or even melt. That includes plastic things, that includes different types of metal. You literally want to get everything away from your house. Now, when you pull it from your house, you're gonna scatter it across the yard. So if it's a pile of wood, you're gonna just toss them as far away as you can. Ideally, you need to be at least 3 feet away with a lot of items, but certain items, you're gonna have to be a lot further away. So get everything as far away from your house as possible. If you live on a ridge, throw it over the ridge, down the hill, just get it out of there. That's trash, that's furniture, that's anything plastic, anything like that, get it out and scatter it. The second thing you gotta do is you wanna have 3 feet of mineral soil around your house. That means you're gonna grab a shovel or rake, whatever, and you're gonna rake any dead leaves, pine needles, until it's just mineral soil. Just means bare dirt, until it's bare dirt. Now, if you have grass in your yard and you can't do that, okay, then you're just gonna have to, do the best you can. But like even with grass, I would come in there with a hoe or a shovel and just make a quick little trench. You don't want anything that can burn touching your house. So the normal thing you do is 3 feet of mineral soil. What's the number 3 thing you can do? The number 3 thing you're gonna do is when fire spreads to houses, it goes a few different methods. So this is one way, and I'm going to cover the others soon here. So one of the ways your house will catch on fire is by the heat radiating through the window and igniting things. So the number 1 thing you want to do is first, you're going to pull any curtains away or shutters away from your windows. Now, if you have time, take them down nicely. If it's an emergency, yank them down. It's better to have to remount curtains than buy a new house. You yank everything off the windows, put it in the middle of your house. The heat will radiate through. So what else does that mean? Move any furniture, anything wood, as far away from the window as possible, because that heat will simply radiate through the glass. Eventually, it will break the glass. And if there's anything there that could ignite, it will. So you want to put everything in the middle of your house away from windows. That's easier said than done. I know that. The third thing you want to do is another way that houses catch on fire, and look at that massive fire there, is it will come through your vents in your roof, and it can set fire in your attic and different things. So one of the best things to do is to shut off your air conditioner, otherwise known as an HVAC system, because your HVAC is going to suck air in and push air out, so that can suck in embers. So you want to completely turn off your HVAC system before you leave. That way you don't have any vents or any air intakes sucking in embers, things like this. Additionally, if we're talking about shutting things off, if you have time, shut off your gas. That's just more for safety. If your house does catch on fire, one of the first things structural firefighters will do when they show up to a structure fire, and again, I'm not a structural firefighter, but they will secure the utilities, shutting off the power, shutting off the gas for safety. So shut off the gas. Because if your house does catch on fire, that's going to make it a lot easier to control after the fact and protect first responders. Another way that fires spread to your house is your gutters. So your gutters, let's hop to a different video. Okay, I just started a new one. What is this? Okay, this is one about wildfires becoming more. Okay, we'll let this go. So your gutters can have all kinds of leaves, dead items, pine needles, spider webs, nests, bird nests, all kinds of things that can catch on fire. So what will happen is embers will blow, they'll land on your roof, and if it's a tile roof, they'll kind of cartwheel down, go into the gutter, and that will catch on fire. So if you have time, go clear your gutters. If you don't have time, break your gutters off the house and throw them far away from your house. It's better to install new gutters than to have to build an entire new house. So the top 3 ways fire is going to get into your house is 1, radiating through windows, 2, being sucked in through a vent because of an HVAC system, and 3, items in your rain gutters catching on fire. Now, what else does this highlight with the rain gutters? Your eaves. For a lot of houses, they've really stopped doing shake shingle roofing in a lot of places. California, it's illegal. Now you can't do it per building code. Some places still do it, but most of the places you're gonna have is tile or just your simple, I guess it would be what, composite shingles, is that what they're called? But you know what I'm talking about. But a lot of eaves are wood, right? So if a gutter catches on fire, the plastic, if it's plastic, will melt. That will set your eave on fire. So before you leave, spray down your eaves the best you can. If you have sprinklers, put them out. If you have gates, fencing around your property, just open them, unlock them. The easier it is to get to your house, the easier it's going to be for firefighters who are trying to save your house. So make sure everything's, people can get through. So remember, folks, in an emergency situation, do not be afraid to break things. If you've got fencing right next to your house, do not be afraid to just smash that fence like a freaking cornerback or some, a different football position. Do not be afraid to knock down fencing. Do not be afraid to rip curtains off your windows, and do not be afraid, really, just to break things to save your property, because those things you're going to break are going to be easy to replace, much cheaper than your whole house. And remember this, folks, the fire department's going to break it anyway, okay? So if you're worried about breaking something, they're going to break it anyway if it's in order to save your house. But guess what? If there's not enough of them, they might not go to your house. So this might be your only chance for it to survive. It's better to break than for it to burn. But if the fire's close, you need to get out. And what do I mean by close? I mean in your general area. So if you've got your house here and the fire's not really that close to you, but you've got your only road out is over here and the fire's close down here to the road, you need to get out before your exit point is blocked. So part of planning when you move to a place, especially if you're in what's called the WUI, W-U-I, which stands for the Wildland Urban Interface, which simply means building housing, into the wildland setting with chaparral and brush, trees, whatever it ends up being. Have a way to escape, and have multiple ways to escape. If you only have one way in and one way out to your property, you need to be extremely careful. It is very easy in a time of panic for a fire just to move around, to block you off, and then you're trapped, you're cut off. And then you have a whole different situation there. And maybe I'll make a video on how to survive in that type of situation at a different time. But you do not want to get out. Have a entry and exit plan, which is also called an ingress and egress plan. Have multiple ways in and out if you can. And if you don't, you got to be prepared to evacuate much earlier than you think you need to. In most cases, once people think it's time to evacuate, they're too late. Okay? So keep that in mind. So here's an interesting thing on the TV here. This is a wildland firefighting crew, and they're in bright orangish reddish jumpsuits. A lot of times the folks you see in those are going to be a prison team. So in California, there's a lot of, even Arizona, there's DOC, Department of Corrections team, and usually they're in a different color geared like you see here, just so it's, it's easier to know who is who. Whereas the professional, and don't get me wrong, they're professional firefighters, but the folks that are working professionally for the city or the state are going to be in yellow. So that's why a lot of times you'll see the different colors. That's not all the time, but a lot of times that's what that would be. So yeah, what you can see they're doing here is what's called a burnout operation. And the fact that this team here is doing this firing operation makes me think either one, they're being overseen by these guys in the yellow, or two, maybe it's not a DOC team. Firing operations are very controlled, and you have to have certain level of certification and be a different type of firefighter to do it. And you see how he was just lighting that in front of the fire. He should have been on the other side with the wind blowing the fire away from him. So he was actually, that was a little bit sketchy how he was doing that. So he's probably just getting oriented. I don't know. But yeah, firing operations, usually you have to be type 1 crew, like a hot shot or smoke jumper. There's IA crews that can do it. Some type 2 crews can do it. It just depends on your experience and certification level. So anyways, what they're doing is they're setting a fire here to burn towards the main fire in hopes to burn up enough fuel so the fire can't jump this ridge line they're on, right? So a hot shot crew would come through, clear this ridge line, what's called a hot shot highway, and then a lot of times either clear a whole long ridge and then do a firing operation to burn it out with just themselves or another team. And then you bring in a type 2 crew to hold the line if you can get a type 2 crew in there. What's the difference between type 1, type 2? Type 1 are just certified 1 to a higher level. 2, they're expected to do a lot more work. So like there's different types of fuel, okay, for how quick you can work. But in wildland firefighting, you measure distance by chains. A chain 66 feet. So for instance, a type 2 crew might be expected to clear 50 chains within 8 hours in a certain fuel type, and then the hot shot or the type 1 crew would be expected to clear like 150 chains, you know? So it's just a different level of expertise and experience and efficiency built in there. But it's not all about just the type 1 crew. Type 2 crews are very important, folks. Why is that? Because they all have different aspects. And I was right. Looks, okay. So that was the correction crew. So I was right. So they were doing a firing operation, and they were being probably monitored and coached by the other team there on the ridgeline. So hey, we're right, guys. Hey, we're right. IS isn't an idiot. But we worked with many prison DOC teams and different types of teams all across the United States. We're being a type 1 resource, and we're a federal resource. We go all over the U.S. to incidents. And I'll tell you what, these guys in jail getting out there doing something for the community was an awesome thing and is an awesome thing. And then they leave jail with a skill set to where they can go and get jobs doing different aspects of wildland firefighting. So I think it's a great program, extremely useful. But yeah, what I was saying is there's applications for all different types of crews. So it's not just, type 1, type 2. But type 1 have their specific application, just says type 2, and then other type crews and different resources you might have on a fire. Anyways, I got into this long ramble about wildland firefighting, but that was my top 5 ways to prepare your house or your property for a fire. And I'll just say this, finally, if you're like in a ranch area or you have a lot of space around you, you're on a hill or a ridge or something like this, you need to clear as much space as possible. You need to like plow out like 100 feet of soil around your entire house. If you live in kind of that unique type of zone, because especially if you're on the hill, the flame lengths, and even on flat, but especially hills, the flame lengths will be so long. They can be hundreds of feet long. So you need to clear out enough space around your property to where flames won't grow large and ignite things on fire in your house, and embers won't fall and start a fire burning towards your house. And that's just a little dust devil there. And you can get dust devils like that during fires. They're called fire whirls, but in the mainstream media, they like to call them fire nados. But anyways, hope you enjoyed the video. Please subscribe, like, comment. That helps me out a lot. And if you want to see my adventures around the world buying gold and silver, and then me talk about disasters or emergency management or counterterrorism, by all means subscribe. That's what I do now, is high-level emergency management. So I hope you enjoyed it. Looks like we're looking near Palm Springs, California right there, and we'll say, catch you on the next one. Woo!
One stacker. journey.